Now we will discuss some self-assessment, or you can say tax administration items. In this one, we are going to discuss business records, we are going to discuss appeals, we are going to discuss self-assessment system, and interest and penalties. First of all is record keeping. When you are doing accounting, you are preparing SOCI and SFP, definitely you are keeping the records. You have backups. What about tax records? Is it required by law? Is HMRC required us to keep the business records? So the answer is yes. We have to keep business records. We have to keep business records for the companies. Number one, for the companies. Companies means corporation tax purposes. Companies have to keep the records for 6 years after the end of accounting period. Companies have to keep the records for 6 years after the end of accounting period. Self-employed, yani individuals. Individuals, self-employed means a person who has trading income has to keep the record for 5 years from 31st January following the end of the tax year. And the third one is employed. Employee has to keep his records for 12 months. Employee have to keep his records for 12 months from the end of uh, from the date which is 31st January following the end of tax year. So these are 3 dates of record keeping. If HMRC caught someone failed to keep the record, if HMRC caught someone who is not keeping the record as required, so what they will do, they can charge you a penalty up to a maximum of up to a maximum of 3,000 pounds. They cannot charge more than 3,000. They cannot charge more than 3,000, but they can charge up to 3,000, which can be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, anything, or 500, 100, anything. If you want me to write a date, a specific date for tax year, we are talking about 21, 22. So the specific date for business records is how many years? 5 years, right? So 5 years will be 31st January 2028. Okay. And the 12 months will be 31st January 2024. Got it? Companies, we don't
Got it.
have a fixed date. Why? Because it depends on the year end. After the year end, the same date, same month, 6 years. Same date, same month, 6 years. For individual, the date is fixed. These dates are fixed for individuals, but for the companies, we cannot fix a date because company either a company has choices. They can end their year end on December, January, February, April, March, June, anything. So this is the first topic of this area of syllabus, which is known as record keeping. Any questions?
No question.
Second one is appeal. If you are not happy with any decision which HMRC is taking against you, you can go to appeal. You can go for appeal and come, or you can ask the first tier tribunal with the normal cases, which are the mostly the ones are discussed here. And if you have a very complex case, you can go to upper tribunal to come to make an appeal against the decision taken by HMRC against you. So this is the second topic, which is known as appeals. The third topic is tax assessment. What is tax assessment? With the word assessment, it's very clear that assessment means checking. Assessment means checking or checks or compliances. If HMRC or you, taxpayer, either one, either person is thinking that what we paid or what they collected is over or under, it's supposed to be corrected. It wants to be corrected. Means what we paid the tax, we comes to know after some time that what we pay is too much. Wrongly payment, higher tax we paid, or HMRC is thinking he is paying less amount than its actual amount. Then the assessment area is coming up. There is a table in which we will discuss. When we discuss the calculation part of this chapter, we discuss that 12 months is the time period for amendment. This is normal, but HMRC can apply for a discovery assessment as well. We will discuss now this table one by one. The first thing here is what? I need you to read it. This one, please. The taxpayer. Hello. The taxpayer can make an amendment to its tax return. Is it allowed? Yes, it is allowed. He has 12 months of the January filing date, and after the end of tax year, the 1st January, you have 1 year to ask HMRC for any amendments you want. If you pays over tax, if you comes to know that I paid extra tax to HMRC, you can reclaim it. You can reclaim it from HMRC. For that, you have 4 years from the end of tax year. In order to reclaim the overpaid tax from HMRC, you have only 4 years to do so. Otherwise, your overpaid tax will be their income. Is HMRC is allowed to open an inquiry against us? Yes. Submission of return. If you submit your return, HMRC have 12 months. They have 12 months to open any inquiry against you if filed on the due date, which is highlighted in yellow. But if you are filing a return late, what is the return date? These things we already discussed in our previous class or previous video. If you file your return late, the inquiry can be opened on the anniversary of the quarter date following the actual submission. And if you are filing it late, HMRC can open the inquiry after that date, but it can be the opening date of the inquiry must be 31st Jan, 30th April, 31st July, and 31st October. You need to remember that if you are submitting your return on time, HMRC can go for check or can open an inquiry within 12 months anytime. If you are filing it late, then HMRC can carry on an inquiry against you on these specific 4 days after your actual submission of late return. Discovery assessment. Discovery assessment, HMRC can raise a discovery assessment against you. If you are not a careless person and not deliberate behavior, they can check 4 years. They can put you in discovery assessment for 4 years after the end of the tax year. If they found out that their tax income got lost because of your careless behavior, they can increase 2 years, means 4 years will be 6 years. If they found out that their income, yani government tax, is lost due to your deliberate behavior, they can increase this inquiry or this assessment for 20 years. This you have to remember. And if they open an assessment against you, inquiry against you, you can go for an appeal against the assessment in writing. And we already know that appeal can be in upper tribunal or lower tribunal. Then the last topic of this chapter is interest. If you pay late, if you paid your tax late to the government, they will charge you 2.6% per annum. If you pay over tax, overpayment, means your tax liability is 10,000, you paid them 12,000 extra tax, they will give you, they're doing this ahsan on you by paying 0.5% per annum. Okay, fine, it's government. Anything is coming, you can say thank you. If you are guilty, they will take 2.6%. And if you paid extra, they will pay you 0.5%. You should be very happy, man, that government is giving you 0.5% per annum interest on your overpayment tax amount. Now, how this will work? Late payment interest, this one. If a liability is paid late, then late payment interest will be charged at the rate of 2.6%. Late balancing payment, we know POA, we know balancing payment, and for companies there are no POA, there are only payments. Same interest rate is applied for individual and companies. If balancing payment late, penalty will apply. Please note it down. If you are paying payment on account late, you have to pay interest. If you are paying balancing amount late, you have to pay penalty. Okay, these are the two scenarios. Now, the third one, if you are submitting wrong return, if you are understating your tax, again you need to pay the penalty, as well as, okay, now remember this, if you paid tax late, interest. If you paid balancing payment late, penalty. And if you submit wrong return, penalty. Interest we know is 2.6% for full year. I put an example for you so it will be easy to understand. A corporation, see, it's a same corporation. We discuss individual, now we are doing solution for corporation because both are same. 4 months outstanding. Okay. How much is the tax liability? 300,000. Interest rate is what? 2.6. How many months delay? 4 months. Interest rate percentage is for the year. So 4 months interest will be 2,600 payable to government. Simple. What are the penalties? Penalties are fixed. That if you are late 30 days, 5% of unpaid tax amount. If you are further, then if you are, and you can say 5% for tax unpaid 30 days after the due date. Okay, 5%. If you are late, further 5% if still unpaid after 6 months. Then a further 5% if still unpaid after 12 months. Yani, if you are more than 30 till 6 months, only 5%. If you are above 6 months till 12 months, additional 5, and it will be 5 plus 5, 10. And if it is more than 12 months, additional 5 means 5 plus 5 plus 5, 15%. So that's, you can say, the penalties. Penalties now for incorrect, this penalties, which is 5, 5 and 5%, which is maximum of 15%, is for balancing payment. If you are submitting your return late, means, if you are submitting your return incorrect, incorrect means you are reducing your tax, you are understating your tax, the penalty will be as follows. If it is a genuine mistake, you can understand that sometimes a person don't want to do fraud, but the because of some error or calculation or formula error, formula mistake, genuine mistake happens, and the mistake happen. Yani you got the point. यानी गलती हो गई भाई, a genuine mistake. So there will be no fine, no penalty. HMRC will tell you, no problem. You are UK person, we are UK, you are UK, bhai, maaf kiya. If you are not taking reasonable care and you understate the tax, means you are not doing fraud. Huh? It happens because you are a careless person. So they will charge you up to 30%. They can charge you 10, 20, 25, 28, 27, but maximum of 30%, up to 30% on the understatement of tax. In the paper, you will write 30%. If the error is not because of the carelessness behavior is deliberate, then you do it by yourself. Then 70% of the understatement of tax. And if government found out that is deliberate, and when they are investigating you, you are trying to conceal it, the penalty will be 100%. The penalty will be 100%. And this, you can say, that's it for the small theory of tax administration chapter for individual and companies.